protest at the failure of the Parentay government to show any care for the hundreds of thousands of children, our students across the state. Shame!
Stretched to breaking point.
Teachers are on their knees, gasping for air, under a debilitating workload.
Taking to the streets for the first time in a decade.
In a single day, the union has caused more disruption to our public education system than we've seen due to COVID throughout the entirety of this term.
For the past 10 years, the state government's given teachers an annual pay rise capped at 2.5%. The union wants that to rise up to 7.5% with more manageable workloads. It's a sector suffering chronic staff shortages, more than 3,000 vacant permanent teaching positions in New South Wales alone.
We all know the root causes of the teacher shortage. How many nights have we taken work home? How many weekends have you spent on schoolwork?
The state government says it's at the negotiating table with open arms.
The Industrial Relations Commission has ruled this strike action illegal. It really is pitting teachers, families and students against each other.
But after months of homeschooling, many parents are backing them in.
We do support the teacher strike and we think it should be paid more, especially in the last couple of years.
So in a year where our most essential workers have carried the load, is it time they got a fair day's wage for a fair day's work?
Enough of the profound disrespect and contempt for our profession. The time for the government to act is now.
Angelo Gavellatis is the head of the Teachers Federation and he joins us now. Angelo, the Education Minister today called your union, quote, a protectionist racket. She says they're willing to negotiate. So why have you disrupted what is, let's face it, an already disrupted school year?
Well, what an extraordinary statement today from the Minister. Totally unwarranted and without foundation. Students, teachers and certainly their parents would be better served by the Minister and the government spending more time focusing on the teacher shortages and the cause of those shortages, namely uncompetitive salaries and unsustainable workloads. These statements are not at all helpful.
But are they true? Is it correct that the government is at the table and you're not?
Not at all, not at all. The government is seeking to reimpose its 2.5% salary cap. That's a 2.5% salary cap that's been in place for 10 years and contributed to the decline of teachers' salaries in comparison to other professions. Internal government briefings show very clearly that it's uncompetitive salaries and unsustainable workloads that are causing the teacher shortage. One of the briefings says that teacher salaries have been declining relative to other professions since the 1980s, hence making the teaching profession a less attractive option for high-achieving students. This is all from government internal briefs.
Can we talk, though, about pay rises? Because as I understand it, what you want is up to 7.5% per year. That seems an extraordinary pay rise, no matter what profession you're in, no matter what the staffing circumstances are. Is that reasonable?
It's more than reasonable. In fact, it's modest. Research conducted by the University of Sydney has shown that teacher salaries have declined by 10 to 15% in comparison to other professions. And in terms of some reports now of salary movements, in fact, last week, the Australian Financial Review reported of movement, salary increases of 20% to lure people into industries where there are shortages. As I said, it's quite a modest increase and reflects the extent to which teacher salaries have declined relative to other professions.
Angelo, one of your biggest concerns is the teaching shortage. The government says its $125 million fund to attract new teachers is working. Is it?
Well, not at all. And this is where we see the government not only in denial, but the government now engaging in spin and gimmickry. They're talking about programs to lure teachers, for example, from overseas. They said 500 teachers from the UK, Canada and interstate Western Australia, for example. We need 3,700 teachers in 5 years, and they're talking about 500 teachers in 10 years. And with respect to luring teachers from interstate, the moment the government announced this initiative, the Western Australian government announced that they want to poach teachers from New South Wales. We have a structural problem in New South Wales, and that structural problem is uncompetitive salaries and unsustainable workloads. That's what the government should be focusing on, rather than spin and gimmickry and 12-page colour brochures.
So, Angelo, if this stalemate continues, are there more strikes to come?
Well, this is now in the hands of the Premier. The Premier understands the magnitude of the issues that confront education in New South Wales. He understands them courtesy of hundreds and hundreds of internal secret briefings that describe the problem, the cause of the problem, and therefore the solutions that are required. Premier Perrottet wants to style himself as the family Premier. Well, if he wants to be the family Premier, he's got to tackle these issues, because if you don't care about teacher shortages, you don't care about kids.
Angelo, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.